Copenhagen is often lauded as a sustainable and well-designed example of a human-scaled city. We chose to explore this by focusing on one feature in the city landscape, and what can be more human-scale than a bench? When well placed and designed thoughtfully, benches provide places for resting and gathering, for people watching, recreation, and sometimes taking shelter. They also encourage people to connect, socialize, and linger in the public domain. Many of the benches we found in central Copenhagen were well placed and abundant, especially near and around public squares or other heavily trafficked pedestrian areas. Often, the benches were placed on the edges of spaces, so as not to obstruct the flow of traffic, and to allow those who choose to sit to do so in the comfort of the periphery, both included and as an observer. We found that different benches could be categorized into several groups: strictly functional versus sculptural, public seating versus private, and planned versus makeshift. Most public benches are strictly functional. However, we discovered an entire path of benches for Den Bleu Planet Aquarium, which blurred the line between seating and sculpture, bringing art and fun into the public space. Private benches and chairs are those associated with businesses, such as restaurants and cafes. They are generally only available to paying customers, and in Copenhagen, they often come with additional amenities such as warm fire or blankets. Lastly, whereas planned benches are intentional, makeshift benches are places along the street, such as a ledge or a rock, that people convert into seating when there are none available. This can indicate the need for a bench in the area. So what makes a good bench? After walking through the city and looking at benches and their uses, we came up with some criteria. For one, where there are lots of people or green spaces, there should be benches. Secondly, the bench should be inviting, ideally in spaces that make you want to sit and stay for a while. Though it seems obvious, in order to be accessible, the benches must be visible and not blocked by bikes, a common problem in Copenhagen. Care should also be given to the dimensions. Generally, benches should be placed near trash cans and streetlights to keep them clean and safe. Elsewhere, hostile architecture has led to anti-homeless benches, but we were pleased to not find this in Copenhagen. Some benches should provide protection from the wind, rain, or sun, especially near bus stops where people may be forced to wait in bad weather. It seems silly to devote so much time to seating, but benches play a large role in the everyday livability and experience of public spaces. They encourage connections to the people, to nature, and to the place. Public seating can also be connected to multiple sustainable development goals, especially 3, 11, and 15, which are good health and well-being, sustainability in communities, and life on land. By taking the time to sit and observe the world, chairs and benches allow people to create a place out of a space. They encourage lingering on the street and ultimately increase our perceived value of the communities that we live in.